The Evil Dead. 5 friends travel to a cabin in the woods where tape-recorded incantations from the Book of the Dead unleash relentless demons that can only be killed by total body dismemberment. I thought hard on what the first movie I should review / study on this channel would be. Starting the channel in October, I knew it had to be a horror movie, and it had to be great. And of course, what better movie to check out than The Evil Dead? Sam Raimi and longtime friend Bruce Campbell's first feature film. The duo had created short films together for years. They experimented in different styles and genres until Raimi was inspired to do a horror movie. He researched at drive-ins and decided they would shoot a short film to help raise money for the feature. The short was called Within the Woods. Raimi and Campbell asked and even begged people for funding for the movie and eventually came up with just under the needed $100,000. Once the film was casted, the crew found a remote cabin in Morristown, Tennessee. This is where the majority of the film takes place, as well as called home to the crew members. It has been stated on record that the living conditions were awful, which resulted in the crew members fighting with each other almost on a daily basis. The principal photography was plagued with problems. Crew members getting lost in the woods while filming, several incidents where a crew or cast member got hurt. This was a major problem because of the remoteness of the cabin. Near the end of photography, the conditions got to be so bad that the crew would burn furniture in the cabin just to stay warm. Bruce Campbell has stated that he was in agony during the production, but he also had a lot of fun. A true filmmaker. When filming was complete, Raimi cut the film with Edna Paul and her assistant, Joel Coen, of the famous Coen brothers. After editing was complete, the sound needed to be worked. Seeing that the crew was inexperienced during filming, they messed up the audio quite a bit, and a lot had to be redone after the fact. Most notably, they used dead chickens being stabbed to produce the sound of flesh being torn apart. Raimi showed the film to anyone in the industry when it was completed. Eventually, he got it to Irvin Shapiro, who helped get it into the 82 Cannes Film Festival. It was seen by Stephen King, who gave it a great review. This attracted film critics to watch the film who would otherwise not see it. New Line Cinema ended up writing Raimi a check to pay off the investors and released the films in both cinema and on home video. The movie performed well in its release, taking in around $2.5 million. The movie is a great example of low-budget filmmaking. Now, of course, when you look at Raimi's filmography today, you know he is quite a talented filmmaker. But when he made this movie, he was a nobody. And he had some guts when it came to making this film. He used many different tricks to accomplish what he wanted to. The writing in the film was pretty good. An example is, in most horror movies, people say, well, why wouldn't they just leave? Well, Raimi made sure to answer these questions with the writing. Scotty, after fighting one of the demons, decides to leave through a trail. He shows back up later, injured, saying the trees won't let him leave. They are alive! Of course, as the audience, we already knew this. The scene with the trees and Cheryl is just horrifying. It is so amazing what Raimi did to pull this off and make it believable, and also frightening. The lighting in the movie is a great takeaway for any filmmaker. It is very unmotivated, but this is a good thing. This day and age, lighting in movies always needs to be motivated. But this was a simpler time, and it makes the film much better. If every lighting setup was motivated, we would not have been able to see any of the action in the film. But because of this, it adds some uniqueness that makes the cinematography awesome, and to a better degree, 80s horror-like. The low budgetness helps sell this film. It proves you don't need a lot of money to make a good film. A perfect example of this is the makeshift dolly they used to get the shots in the swamp and the forest. They attached the camera to a giant piece of wood and had 2 people carry it around, and it's totally believable. The camera is almost always moving. It is usually handheld, but it moves around a lot in a good way. This is something low-budget filmmakers need to know. Move that camera. They, of course, could just throw the camera on some sticks and shoot the movie, but it would not have had this quality and dynamicness that the film possesses. Any filmmaker can study this movie and would know when and how to move the camera to create some drama. The film also has some shots out of focus. Now this could mean they didn't have anything else to use and were forced to use it, but again, I feel it adds to the grittiness and authenticness of this movie. Another example we can take as filmmakers, it doesn't matter what it is. If it works, it works. And this movie makes a lot of those little things work. On to my opinion. This film is a cult classic. It stands up to the test of time. The visual effects are great and still hold up in some cases today. Like I mentioned, the writing is good. The filmmaking as a whole was unique and at times downright gritty. It proves that any filmmaker with a bit of cash and heart and a crew that is serious to make something great can. They banded together through the hardships to create a masterpiece in horror. This is the first time I saw the movie, and I am ashamed to admit that in 2016, I had to look away in the screen in disgust and even shock at being terrified at certain parts. Raimi didn't pull any punches. He set out to make a great horror film, and he succeeded. Do I recommend watching this film? Yes! Do I recommend watching it over the remake? Of course! Not knocking the remake, still a solid film. Put this movie on in October and watch it. You could totally learn a thing or two. Whether it is some unique ways to move the story along or some great horror lighting, you will definitely learn something if you watch with a filmmaker's eye. I would rate this film as an 85 out of 100. Thanks everyone. Let me know what you think of the video and your comments on The Evil Dead. Anything that I missed about what we can learn as filmmakers? And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel to see more reviews like this. My name is Christopher Lloyd. Thanks for watching.